Hi, my name is Isa Nosa, and this is my real world security incident case study. I will be talking about the Travelex ransomware attack and how a single unpatched VPN vulnerability, CVE 2019-11510, turned into a multi-million dollar incident. I will start with what this looked like from the customer side and then walk through the vulnerability, the attack chain, the fallout, and the main lessons we can learn. Imagine being stranded in a foreign country on New Year's Eve, and suddenly you cannot get cash because the currency exchange system is down. That is what happened to thousands of people when Travelex, a global foreign exchange company, went dark at the start of 2020. Their website, mobile apps, and even the systems used by partner banks were suddenly unavailable. At first, Travelex told customers that this was just planned maintenance, but the outage dragged on for days and then for weeks. Behind that vague message was a serious incident, a ransomware attack that had spread throughout their network. In the next slides, I would show how the attackers got in through a vulnerable VPN, how the attack unfolded, and why this incident was largely preventable. The attackers did not need a brand new zero day. They basically walked through an open door. Travelex was using a Pulse secure VPN appliance that was exposed to the internet. That device had a known critical vulnerability called CVE 2019-11510. This bug allows an attacker, without logging in, to read sensitive files from the VPN device. In practice, that means configuration files, usernames, and even passwords can be pulled straight out the box. The key problem is that this vulnerability was already public and a patch had been released months before the attack. Security advisories were warning that attackers were scanning the internet for unpatched Pulse secure VPNs. So the VPN, which was supposed to be a locked front door into Travelex's internal network, was effectively left wide open because the patch was not applied. Here's how that open door turned into a full ransomware attack. First, the attackers scan the internet looking for Pulse secure VPN servers. Once they find a vulnerable VPN, like Travelex's, they test and confirm that it is still exposed to CVE 2019-11510. Next, they exploit CVE 2019-1150 to read files from the VPN appliance. From those files, they can steal credentials, like usernames, passwords, or session tokens used for remote access. With those stolen credentials, they gain remote access into the internal network, just like a legitimate employee on VPN. Once inside, they move around inside the network, escalate privileges, and also identify important servers and file shares. After they have positioned themselves, and in many cases copied out sensitive data, they finally deploy the Sodinokibi, also known as Revo ransomware, across key systems, encrypting files and also disrupting Travelex's operations. So, what did this mean in the real world? Travelex had to take systems offline for weeks. Online currency services were down, and staff in some locations had to fall back to pen and paper processes. Partner banks that depended on Travelex also had to pause or limit their foreign exchange services. The Sodinokibi, or rival group, claimed that they had stolen sensitive data and demanded the ransom. According to later reports, Travelex ended up paying about $2.3 million in Bitcoin to get decryption keys and try to control the damage. Publicly, customers first saw banners like this one saying that the outage was due to planned maintenance. That messaging did not match the scale of the disruption. And when the ransomware story eventually came out in the news, it hurt trust and it also made the company look less transparent during a major security incident. There are three big lessons from the Travelex incident. First, patch management for edge devices. Internet facing systems like VPN gateways and firewalls are high value targets. When a critical vulnerability, like CV 2019-11510, is announced, organizations need a process to patch quickly or at least put in temporary mitigations. In this case, failing to patch a known bug is what opened the door. Second, monitoring and transparency. Companies need good visibility into unusual activity on remote access systems and a very clear plan for how they communicate during incidents. Calling a major ransomware outage planned maintenance can definitely confuse users and damage credibility once the real story comes out. Third, a tested incident response plan. Practicing scenarios like our VPN is compromised or ransomware on file servers can make containment faster and definitely reduce business impact. Overall, the Travelex attack shows how a single unpacked VPN vulnerability can cascade into weeks of downtime and millions of dollars in losses, and how many of these consequences could have been avoided with better patching and preparation. Thank you for listening.